quite frequently then I kick back and think about making another video, and I wonder sometimes what the subject might be. There's all sorts of things I find compellingly interesting, and many years ago I thought about starting a blog, but I thought I live a boring life, what could I possibly write about? And then when I realised that you can even make videos about your troll comments, or videos about other people doing videos, and reply videos and response videos, it just seems endless now. But I always think, pick something a bit more useful. So I'll go out to the interwebs, have a scout around, check out a little bit of Reddit, a little bit of YouTube, see what's going down on Twitter, see what's popular. And the words that come back to me are, oh, fuck me, no. And I hear that YouTube doesn't like this in the videos. I hear on the grapevine that swearing on YouTube videos, for commercial interests anyway, should be kept back or restricted in the first third of a video for advertising reasons. Now, I ain't so bothered myself about revenue, but obviously YouTube are. They have massive expenses, those data warehouses and communication lines and servers chew up an enormous amount of electricity. I'm not even sure that they're even profitable yet, and how long they've been going, 10, 11, 12 years. Yeah, so I can imagine their backers are starting to want to see a bit of a return on their investment. I get it. So sure, they have a need to see profitability, and I'm sure we can appreciate that they certainly need to have a good fit with where their revenue comes from, advertisers. I get it. And so one way to increase ad space or ad inventory is to have more people upload more suitable videos for advertisers, and the other half of that equation is to find more eyeballs for the videos that generate ad revenue. And so I suppose this is where that recommended video feed comes in. The more that advertiser friendly videos are pushed and the more that people watch them, the algorithm builds the like analysis, understands what people like, and can supply them an endless quantity of videos that can suitably carry adverts. YouTube gets paid, creator gets paid, starts to work out, everyone's happy. Yeah, okay, cool. So therefore I can understand why YouTube will prefer the easy win and the low-hanging fruit, good videos that entertain, have good production quality, don't swear too much, and have an excellent suitability matched for advertisers before foul-mouthed ranters and swear buffs and more controversial or edgy subjects. But for sake, the more I read, the more I go online, the more bad decisions I see, and I see how ignorance is exploited by carefully crafted wordplay and slick advertising, and dancing on those cognitive biases between manipulation and false advertising, and walking right up to that line and slapping it in the face whilst the feet are still firmly on this side of that white line. So yeah, I see what they're up to. I'm sure you've seen it too, the woo-woo, the crazy things, the promises and the outrageous claims stop just short of claiming to be able to cure your cancer by waving a particular coloured crystal in a safe space infused with the fumes of magically energetic joss sticks while humming soft mantras to self-affirmations, all while it rubs the essential oils on its skin. Wow, I don't know, I don't know what to make of it. I really don't. The jelly juice, for crying out loud, the MMS stuff, the bleach, the turpentine diet, urine therapy, black salve, Jesus Christ. Oh man. The anti-vaxxer stuff, fucking hell. And here we are in May, and it's, I understand, is it Mental Health Awareness Month? Holy shit. We got adverts for beef burgers that are getting play off mental health awareness. I mean, fuck me, and there's the swearing again. I am getting cynical. I mean, is this really helping, or is it to sell burgers? And the latest, that Predator film, Asperger's, fucking hell. It just leaves me speechless. So yeah, McDonald's, they got the Happy Meals, and now another burger company, not going to give them any shine, and don't go looking for it. Well, I don't know, see, I'm divided, Because they got the salty meal, the pissed off meal, the don't give a fuck meal. So we've got depression meals. What the fuck? I mean, is this outrage marketing? Is that what it is? That I'm outraged and I'm going to make this video about it and put it on YouTube and everyone's going to get to know that this burger company is doing something with a particular named mental health awareness organization? Am I just being used in a Streisand effect to sell more burgers, or is it actually doing some good? I can't tell. I mean, like everyone else, don't have time to look into it. I don't know. I mean, is it actually bringing positive awareness to Mental Health Month? I mean, I hope so. I mean, sure. Lots of crazy things going on right now. I mean, there's a lot of attention being drawn to transgender issues, and the rhetoric and the manipulation and the misrepresentation is doing a lot of damage just for the sake of people pushing their agenda based on lies. It just really kind of fucks me off. So I'm really skeptical about things now, and this is a weird situation. I think I'm watching too much YouTube beyond what a healthy limit is, and I'm calling Poe's Law all the time. I just can't tell anymore. And this is unnerving, and not to mock, it's causing a bit of anxiety. I mean, we all want to do the right thing for the right reasons, and sometimes it's a coincidence that we end up doing the right thing for the wrong reasons, but this is my point. I kind of feel like that the reason and reasoning has to be the cause of the action, and not some manipulation that's gone on that has to do with getting the right thing achieved, even out of some clever marketing or some strong rhetoric or deep anchoring negotiation or some unconscious triggering that makes it so that the outcome is inevitable and you can't fight your own kind of inbuilt responses. We were just saying in the last video, fight, flight, freeze or appease. And there's a YouTube channel I want to get to. Someone told me about this guy. He used to be in the military, and I think he did a little bit training the police, but left because just got so fed up with what was going on. And he kind of said, well, I've heard this secondhand, so take it as it is, that when, you go into these highly stressful situations, you got to give time. You got to give time to people. You don't know whether they're a fighter, a flighter, a freezer, or an appeaser. You don't know the response you're going to get from people who are in high stress situations. So you've almost got to, this is, human interactions 101, isn't it? Are you friend or foe? Well, let me just first make my presence known. I'm here. Just let them absorb that for a minute. Okay. But, you got to take precaution. I think another one of his guides is it time and cover? I haven't looked into it, but I think that's it. Time and cover, make your presence known, but don't stand anywhere you can get shot, stabbed or whacked over the head because you're not looking or you don't have adequate distance or cover. So, yeah, you got to take precautions, but, jump in people, even if they want to respond in positive ways, that biology kicks in. You're going to get the response, but you don't know ahead of time which it's going to be. And this is the thing, I see in dysfunctional relationships, when we just respond to each other. I wanted to talk about this as well, another thing. I might do a separate story time about daytime TV, because that's also reached the headlines this week. I might do a separate talk about that. But this is it. When we don't take time and we just respond, we just fire off our immediate response, right, which might be somebody else's trigger. And then they get in that position where they just respond, and that fires off a third party who get triggered. And then they come back to the first party and take it out on them. We'll just get this dysfunctional triangle going around. And because no one has time or is given time, and it requires just one of them to change their thinking and respond differently and break that chain. But this is it. I've gone right off script. Where was I? Yeah, maybe I'm overthinking it all. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. This is it. I can't tell anymore. Poe's Law. I'm in too deep. I'm just spending too many hours on YouTube. I don't know. Is it good? Is it bad? You see the good? You see the bad? Fuck. I don't know. Can't tell. Anyway. I wanted to go back to a simpler time. 1985. 86. And as I remember back to that time, I can almost hear foreshadowing of Guns N' Roses, Welcome to the Jungle, playing on a car stereo. Yeah. But just a couple of years before that. Yeah, not too long ago, but things were very different back then. No internet. Well, actually that's not entirely true, but not as we know it today. And I'm sure you, like me perhaps, were one of those techie kids, growing up in that era. Maybe yours was Commodore VIC-20. Ours was the Atari 800, the ZX Spectrums were just coming online, Dragon 32s, and the first Apples were just coming out. Fucking hell, if only I'd have known then. Buy that fucking stock. Shit. Time when Manic Miner was the crisis game of its day. And, if you did drive back then, odds were if you drove fast, you more than likely would get away with it. Now, I'm not sure you can even drive anywhere fast anymore. Journey time seems to be less volatile back then, and that's another thing that pisses me off. Journey time variability, it seems to be around 100% these days. From where I am to get to London, journey time can vary by up to 100%. And on the day that I do allow 4 hours for what should be a 2-hour journey, it takes frigging 5. Anyway, past all that commuting shit now, thank God. But in this story, 1985, much more positive time, before I had all the hope beaten out of me and before I had all my aspirations dashed, when hope was still alive and the future looked rosy. Back then, I'd not even been on a train journey. I was just 4 years away from my first motorcycle crash. Yeah, whatever. Back then, anyway, whatever. But that's not what this is about. So yeah, a little bit more simpler times, or maybe we just didn't have access to the information and we just didn't know, so it seemed simpler. So that's the scene, and it was a time, back then, PC, political correctness was just making inroads, but we all called each other Joey Deacons and spastics, which, those days are hopefully they're over. I think we're all a bit more grown up now, but, back then people referred to things in life, well, my friend certainly did, the important things as the 3 C's: cars, computers, and women. Like I say, it was before PC. Personally, I added motorcycles and fine wine to that list in later years, such as the blinkered life I've lived, and later on I discovered a couple of other things that start with the letter C. But for YouTube's sake, we shan't mention. Something else from the 80s, the cry of the Reagan era. Remember kids, just do drugs, don't say no. Oh, hang on, that's not right. Hang on. No, I'm sure that wasn't it. Anyway, 85, 86, 87. Names like Lou Ferrigno, Dolph Lundgren, Rich Gaspari, Lee Haney, Len Murray, Corey Everson were big, even in the small town where I lived. I think Dorian Yates was just coming on the scene at this time. I think he actually kicked off Lee Haney from his throne at Mr. Olympia. So this was it. All the guys were pumping iron in the sheds at the back of their parents' houses, doing whatever it took to get those 22-inch guns that Arnold had. And it was a fascination, and it seemed popular. Pumping Iron, the movie, Stay Hungry, was doing the rounds, and Arnold's word was gospel. And later I found out he wasn't necessarily telling the truth about things. I think he was having a little bit of fun, and he was kind of gaming his competition. And in some ways, I'm not sure I'll forgive him a kind of misguided youth. Yeah, it's all well and good making sacrifice, and I kind of took to heart some of the things he said and some of the things I read in the books that I had of his. But what they don't tell you, and what perhaps even a young Arnold didn't appreciate, is that there's no guarantee of getting what you're hoping for, even when you pay the price, even when you make those sacrifices. And then, one day, you're close to 50 years old and you wake up and realise all those times you deferred, put it off, you sacrificed, you delayed the gratification, and what you were hoping for didn't come true anyway. It's a big risk. But yeah, 50 years old, you can still just about do those things that were easy in the 20s, but only just, and time's running out, so I don't know whether I'm giving advices now to the younger generation, but I think the world's changed now, and I don't even know whether that paradigm exists anymore. But herein lies the problem of giving the youth advice. They simply don't have a grounding or a framework to appreciate it. It's one of the great ironies in life that the only thing we seem to learn from history is that we don't learn from history. So to the youth tuned in, listening to this, all I can say is go on YouTube or whatever music platform, Spotify, SoundCloud, whatever, and find the Sunscreen song by Baz Luhrmann. Yeah, he says it better than I will. Anyway, back to the story. So, where were we? 1985-86. Each month would see a new issue of Muscle and Fitness with, I even remember the price, £2.45, £2.70. And I even remember Joe Weider talking about how much money he'd make just by raising the price of the magazine by a couple of cents. Bastard. So yeah, each month, we'll get a new issue of Muscle and Fitness and glamorous covers, some muscle-bound hero or accompanied by an impossibly fit young woman. Yeah, so yeah, each month, new magazine, and it come with long articles about this or that, about how to stretch, the importance of warming up before exercises, the new superset or split training routines of your favourite muscle-bound hero, 10 ways to do barbell curls or incline preacher curls or dumbbell flies, whatever it was. And sometimes it'd even talk about the best protein recipes, whether to broil your chicken, whether to grill it, skin it, skinless, skin on, skin off, eating times, how many calories a day, what the Russians knew that was kept secret from the West for so long and how they did so well in sports, and how this article promised to reveal their secrets, every word squeezed between some sun-kissed beauty. And this was before Photoshop too, or it was some lengthy article between some barely recognisable form of monster biceps that seemed to have its own name and personality, and that personality was "fuck you, I'm ripped." Yeah, I can just see it now, the vein running down the head of the bicep, its own river of blood, supplying nutrients to that monstrous fibrous thing. And I even remember at the time, female friends, "Oh, that's gross," but every guy, "Yeah, that's right, I'm a monster." Good old days. And every now and then, every few months or so, there'd be an article about steroids, pros of steroids, and the cons of steroids, and why not to do them. Remember, kids, don't do drugs. Don't do drugs. Don't do drugs. Oh, wait a minute, that can't be right. I'm sure she said, just do drugs, don't say no. I can't remember. It's all a bit of a haze. And the adverts in there, that was the best thing about those publications. Sleek, sexy, sweaty, glistening bodies in the easy rays of the Southern California sun. Right there, ground zero, Venice Beach. And I did get there in the end, and fuck me, it was boring. My memories of Venice Beach were formed on September the 12th, 13th and 14th of 2001, and I was waiting basically for a call from the airline to say flights had resumed, and I had a flight home for 4 days, I think it was, in the end, after I was actually due to leave. Meanwhile, everything had been shut down. There was no parks open, there was no places to go. It was just me, rental car, waiting for a phone call, and no one was on the beach during those days, just empty. See, timing, everything. Yeah, very bizarre occurrences. That very, very weird. Anyway, yeah, Muscle and Fitness, there it was. All you had to do was work out, work hard, 2 hours in the gym every day, do your warm-ups, do your sit-ups, feel the burn, no pain, no gain, eat healthy, and you had it. It's all yours for the taking, except no. Sure, yeah, my friends, yeah, they got big, not me. And looking back with more maturity and less naivete now, I wonder how those gains with a Z were gotten so fast by them, not me. Remember, kids, don't do drugs. Turns out we'd all been duped. There were no Russian secret elixirs of fast muscle growth. Cybergenics was bullshit and nothing more than caffeine tablets. And Joe Weider was getting rich. Very fucking rich. And herein lies a lesson in marketing and getting fucking rich. Ethics, morals, desires, innocence and ignorance, all wrapped up in a big glossy brochure of sun-kissed, glowing, sweaty bodies. Intoxicating. And I wanted a piece of it. Shh. Many, many years later, 1992 now, and a report by the City of New York Department of Consumer Affairs was made in regard to magic muscle pills. So perhaps this story sounds familiar. The report quotes that every year around 100 companies sell at least 100 million worth of expensive and virtually useless food supplement pills, powdered mixers and liquids to dieters and athletes and especially bodybuilders. While these so-called nutritional supplements come with scientific-sounding names, aggressive sales pitches and ambitious claims, virtually none of the products deliver what they promise, typically to add muscle, burn fat, or convert unwanted fat into energy. and the jury is still out on whether some might actually be harmful, even when used according to package directions. Now, in all honesty, I'm not sure if we can adjust for inflation and increased demand and supply in the 30 years since. And maybe the products have actually got better and are not totally useless, as this report states. Was 20, 30 years ago. Nonetheless, this is a cautionary tale. So here's how it's done, kids. You have to completely control the whole enterprise. Everything. Control the media, the message, the interactions, who you let in the business, who you partner with, what they can and can't say, the consequences of them not saying or not performing certain duties, where you expose the business, to whom, for how long, and how it shuts out the competition. And basically, you have to control it all. It's a monopoly. And there is a misconception that monopolies are illegal, and that's not entirely true. I think in the US it's the Sherman Act that covers the abuse of monopoly positions. So Google is a monopoly, no question, and so was Microsoft. And it seems abuse has happened and they were fined for that Internet Explorer thing. And well, that's another story. So yeah, you also have to ride a fine line with the regulators and get right up to that line, but not overstep into the abuse. And here's the trick. You also need to steer the innocent. At last gives me opportunity to quote Ezekiel 25:17 in all its glory. You know the one. The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. And blessed is he who, in the name of charity and goodwill, shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness. For he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children. And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers, and you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee. Which just about sums up the description of what follows this Joe Weider's empire. How to get really fucking rich. So yeah, the next thing we need, apart from total control, is we need a boogeyman, an evildoer, the threat of the unknown, the consequences of going off the beaten path, of course, through which I will shepherd thee. Because humans, it turns out, are skitsy creatures. Seems like they like to have a sense of control, or at least the illusion of it anyway. This is the bold business plan that gives us confidence to do ridiculous things and believe it's going to work out. This is the confidence of ignorance and the motto of the Dunning-Kruger Club. Yeah, I'm going to steal this one from Thunderfoot, the guy I follow on YouTube and probably watch far too much of. He did a recent video that ended with a picture of the Dunning-Kruger curve. I'm sure we're all familiar, but the quote above it was, "The first rule of the Dunning-Kruger Club is, you do not know that you are a member of the Dunning-Kruger Club." However, even that was superseded. I think Mike and I talked about this in one of the earlier podcasts, a quote by Darwin when he spoke about ignorance. He said, "Ignorance more frequently begets confidence than does knowledge. It is those who know little and not those who know much who so positively assert that this or that problem will never be solved by science." So yeah, it seems David Dunning and Justin Kruger were beaten by Darwin. So, while the business plan doesn't mean we will get the results while sacrifice and hard work and dedication and delaying gratifications and not going on that holiday or not indulging or going out with friends, staying home, learning about this, learning about that, perfecting your craft, gives us confidence. It doesn't guarantee any particular result. It's the illusion of control, the illusion of information meaning confidence. And it's a trick, it's a cognitive bias, and it's used against you at every turn. It's like when you go down to casinos. Hope that you have been down to casinos. It's an experience, but you go to the roulette wheel. And then why did they have the LCD stacks there above the tables telling you what the last 10 or 15 results of the roulette wheel were? I mean, it doesn't have any bearing on the next spin. But if you see, say, 3 or 4 sevens in that list of 15, you might think, that's strange, that's overrepresented of what the expectation of 1 in 36 is. 36, 34, 32, I can't remember. So this table must be loaded. Therefore, 7's playing tonight, let me put some bets on 7. Wrong. Because it could also mean that 7 has come up more than it should, which means that it shouldn't come up for quite a while now, statistically speaking. So you put bets on anything but 7. Wrong. Either way, go to the races. What do you see? All this information, the jockey, his history, his weight, the horse, the breeder, the going, the wind, the rain, the flipping direction of, I don't know, flipping sun rays. It's all out there. You can get access to all the information. But it doesn't guarantee you a result. It just means that you are more confident that you're right. And whilst we're talking about it, I wrote this book a while ago, 1,000 Business Lessons, and lesson number 11 was on the persistence of ignorance as it happens. Right here, it's written out in my book. When people are placing bets on nothing more than the colour of the jockey's vest, get in that group. If gamblers are insistent on wagering their opinions against data, then take their money. Take with you lots of data and the right analytics. Do not make emotional decisions. So this is where there's kind of five investment types. Let's call top one an engineer who invests in knowledge and principles of physics. Applied physics engineering, builds bridges, lasts 100 years. So the payback horizon time on such an engineering project, 100 years, some even longer. I believe skyscrapers are kind of estimated at 200-year life expectancies and bridges even longer. Really long investment time horizon on those resources. Typical kind of market investor parts with capital and the expectation of safety on principle and an adequate return on the capital in the form of dividends or interest or rent in lieu of giving up capital. Speculator buys for resale rather than for use or income, as the case for commodities or financial instruments. Speculating is parting with capital in the expectation of capital appreciation. This capital appreciation is the sole extent of return for the speculator, does not anticipate return in the form of periodic dividends or interest payments, because he does not intend to hold the position for an extended period. Better is an agreement between two parties where the party proved wrong about the outcome of an uncertain event will forfeit a stipulated thing or a sum to the other party. Therefore, a bet is about being right or wrong. And a gambler is kind of a derivative of betting. So to gamble is to wager money on the outcome of a game, a contest or event, or to play a game of chance for money or other stakes. So the point is, just like the racehorses, the casino, they provide you with all this extra information to convince you that you're right. It's a kind of tax on ignorance, and I don't mean that it's a tax on stupidity or anything so trivial, but it is a levy on information asymmetry. They know, they have the facts, they have the data, they know exactly how that roulette wheel pays out, and they convince you that you think you know more than they do. You bloody fool. Again, I'm reminded of a film, Revolver. Throughout the film, they put up quotes, I think, from The Etiquette of the Banker and The Fundamentals of Chess. All these little idioms or quotes or sayings. I meant to get hold of that book, actually, The Etiquette of the Banker. Yeah, the first rule of business, protect your investment, never lose your trust, res. And another pertinent quote. One thing I've learned in the last 7 years, in every game and con, there's always an opponent, and there's always a victim. The trick is to know when you're the latter, so you can become the former. Here we are. Cool, all these things spiral off to so many other things. There's a book I've got here that's been on my shelf for a while called The Greatest Financial Scandals, and I want to get into that as well. And I read a book years ago about Yellow Kid Vale. I'm not sure if it's pronounced Whale or Vale. The Yellow Kid, Joseph Whale, con man. And the way he made his money is by putting people in a position where their own greed put them in a position where, of course, they got taken, they got conned, but they got conned while doing an illegal thing, so they couldn't go to the police to say, this counterfeit machine that I bought off this guy doesn't work and I've been conned. Though, unbelievably, some criminals have. I've heard some criminals gone to the police about their uncle or their cousin who stole their brick of heroin. Remember, kids, just do drugs, don't say no. Yeah, so I'm sure there was something in that film as well about convincing the other person that it's their move, that they're in control, when really you're just feeding them pieces. I can't quite remember that quote, but this is the same kind of sentiment, it's an information overload. And there was another fascinating thing I learned recently, and seems kind of pertinent in May, which I think is a US mental health awareness thing. As it turns out, clinicians are no better at diagnosing suicide risk than the laity. It's just that clinicians were more confident in their ability to make these predictions. Mind-blowing, really. And this is what the ramble at the start was all about. Are we being tricked by marketing companies that have the facts and the data but present information in ways that makes it so that we think that we've discovered something new and that we're going to respond in a particular way, like these burger companies. Are they sincere? Are they actually helping? Or are they leveraging our outrage, our moral outrage and righteous indignation to further publicising, have you seen that burger ad? So I guess this is the question. Are they enticing us into a bet whereby we're betting our opinion against their facts? And our opinion is strongly associated perhaps with our identity, which leads us to this moral outrage. That is to say, the moral outrage is a subjective expression of our opinion, not the facts. And this is that information asymmetry I was mentioning. Yeah, they're betting their facts against our opinion, but convincing us that we're the ones that have all the information to make well-guided decisions over and above their apparent lunacy. It's a sophisticated game, and sometimes I just can't tell. This is why I say more and more it looks like Poe's law. I don't know, maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, I don't know, I haven't looked into it. I can't say, I suppose I should not comment on it. Maybe it's doing good, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I even found out that moral outrage and righteous indignation has its own acronym, MORI. Wonder if MORI is a distant cousin of FOMO. FOMO, that your peers are getting more YouTube subscribers than you, and even FOMO for YouTube themselves, that competitors are eating away at their monopoly position before they have made profit. But while they have made amazing innovation in tech and geographic legal matters, others will be surely riding their coattails at almost zero cost. I'm sure I read somewhere about pioneers that are often well remembered, but either die in their efforts, or it seems the ones that follow in their path are the ones that make all the money. Such is life, the entrepreneur's sacrifice. Oftentimes it's the failures that point the way. So for every successful entrepreneur, there's 7 or 8 that failed, that proved that that wasn't the way, so that the one could succeed. This is how progress is made, and I'm kind of reminded of a Bernard Shaw quote about mad men and progress. Yeah, FOMO that you're going to miss out on that timed discount as that web browser countdown clock ticks away. Does that nasty trick really work? Did it ever? Perhaps you thought that $37 add-in for your website would make you more sales over your competitors. Or, if you didn't buy it, then your competition would have that advantage over you. Sucker. FOMO, again, down a casino or at the horse race. That the obvious indication of all the prevailing information means that you just have to make that bet. It's just overwhelmingly obvious that it's going to be a sure thing. It'd be dumb not to. I mean, look at all your friends putting their wagers on. My God, you're going to miss out. You're going to be the only one. Yeah, I reckon FOMO is closely related to the institutional imperative, which Warren Buffett talked about at length. And I think Buffett made the following joke famous. I think it was Buffett, but it's an oldie goldie. Who knows where it originated? After a long life, an oil prospector is moving to his heavenly reward and was met by St. Peter with bad news. You're qualified for residence, said St. Peter, but as you can see, the compound reserved for oilmen is packed. There's no way to squeeze you in. After thinking for a moment, the prospector asked if he might just say 4 words to the present occupants. That seemed harmless to St. Peter, so the prospector cupped his hands and yelled, "Oil discovered in hell!" Immediately, the gate to the compound flung open and all of the oilmen marched out to head for the nether regions. Impressed, St. Peter invited the prospector to move in, but the prospector paused. "No," he said. "I think I'll go along with the rest of the boys. There might just be truth in those rumours after all." Yes, so, FOMO, that your friends are getting big muscles, and you are not, certainly. That's how I saw it back then. So yeah, indeed, the report goes on. Most advertisements in the popular bodybuilding magazines are for these basically worthless products. The recent rapid growth in muscle magazines is built in large part on deceptive advertising. Indeed, several of the most popular bodybuilding magazines are published by supplement manufacturers and exist mainly to promote their nutritional supplements. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The magazine itself is the marketing for which we pay. Again, there was a wonderful example. I think it was in Freeman Shaw's book, was it? The difference between a Sony and a Finlux TV. Same screen, built in the same factory, by the same process. Sony's got a Sony badge and the Finlux has got a badge you've never heard of, but the Sony is $100, £100 dearer than the Finlux. And the Finlux looks just as good in terms of its technical capabilities as the Sony, and you're whipping out the credit card to pay for it, and the salesman says, did you want to buy a warranty? Then all of a sudden it hits you. Is it worth the extra $100 for the Sony, the brand that I know? And you only know Sony because they spend billions more than Finlux on advertising. And where do you think that budget comes from? Yes, the extra $100 in the product. You're paying for your own peace of mind. The nutritional supplements industry is growing due to increasing concern about the safety of anabolic steroids, and here's our boogeyman. Remember, this is written in 1992. Things have hopefully moved on. I'm not really in touch with the scene, so this has got to be taken in the context of 25, 30 years history. Many supplements are now being promoted as safe and natural substitutes for steroids with similar effects on musculature. So here's the bogeyman. You can get big, you can get ripped, you can use steroids and shorten your life. Or you can use supplements to get the same results, but not at the risk of your health. But it seems, as this report says, these have no effect on musculature. Also, the scientific studies cited in advertisements to prove effectiveness are rarely double-blind and are not published in reputable professional journals for peer review. Sometimes the manufacturer's claims do have scientific basis, but the product claims stretch scientific principles cited to the point of absurdity. Oh boy, I see this in the flat earth community. Science proves this. Nah. See it in the creationists circles. Science proves this. Nah. And it's also a problem in the media as well. I just recently came across a Potholer 54 video. Check out his channel. Really thorough research that showed how cherry picking or misunderstanding of the science paper has led to the headline that's going around doing the rounds that the Maldives will be underwater by 2030, and that's not quite what it says, but it's been taken out of context and kind of like an internet version of telephone that's got distorted and grotesque strawman built of the argument that just now results in a headline that's simply not true, but because it came from a scientific journal or a scientific paper originally, it's science. Nah. What's actually happened is that it's been taken out of context, changed, distorted, information deleted, missed out or misunderstood, and then cited, changed a bit, massaged to get around your copy looking like the copy you just copy and pasted it from, so things are changed and bastardized along the way, and then it doesn't resemble at all. In fact, in some instances, it says the exact opposite of what the science paper actually stated. But this is propulsion systems 101, carrot and stick. Create a bogeyman, offer the problem, intensify the fear, and then bring the solution, and then make it more pleasurable and bribe them, threaten them, then bribe them. So to give some examples out of this report, Consumer Affairs has issued notices of violation. So an advertisement makes a startling claim, a new, advanced cell growth formula that stimulates muscle growth even while you sleep! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. As if this didn't get the point across, the bodybuilder is shown at night in bed with his well-developed chest exposed and the product displayed on his nightstand. No nutritional supplement has been shown to stimulate muscle growth on either an awake or a sleeping body. Another ad reads, the most efficient muscle building supplement, which will allow a user to watch muscles explode with incredible strength, massive size and pure energy. Amazing, but untrue. Just like the claims of the latest tabletop clothes dryer, which we're going to get onto. Nothing is more powerful at adding muscle without fat. No pill, powder or drink can add muscle. Another one reads, is the most powerful muscle building amino acid. Not only is it not the most powerful, it doesn't build muscles at all. Some of the products raise serious safety concerns. For example, an excess of growth hormone can cause acromegaly, in which the muscles do grow yet are weaker and lose some of their functionality. Similax, also found in supplements, acts as a diuretic that can actually impair athletic performance. The effect on the body of the single amino acids contained in many nutritional supplements is still not fully understood, and their use in special supplements should be avoided altogether. Who knows, 25 years later, I don't know, maybe we need to review this science, see what's really going on these days. I don't know if it's changed or whether this still holds true. The report also says the potential dangers were tragically illustrated in 1989-1990 when approximately 30 people died from one of the amino acid supplements, L-tryptophan. Although investigators now believe that a contaminated batch may have been the direct cause, closer federal oversight might have caught it. Yeah, see, that's kind of a loose statement to make. It's not really saying that that was the cause. It's although investigators now believe that a contaminated batch may have been the direct cause, closer oversight might have caught it. That's a bit wishy-washy, you see. So even in the reporting and the quality and robustness of analysis has improved in 20-odd years. What's also come to mind is the kind of games that are played where the sellers of supplements actually do position them as supplements, and whether they qualify as a drug, and then there's certain claims that you can't make, and then there's certain limitations imposed by regulatory bodies when it comes to whether something's a drug, and it doesn't apply if it's a supplement. And anyway, I'm not really up on what constitutes a drug or a supplement, or what law or what regulation applies to either or truth in advertising, and what jurisdiction the FTC and advertising agency has. This is about owning the whole ecosystem of marketing, that the magazine is a marketing device that people pay for, that the articles there are kind of the justification for stuffing it full of adverts. But here's the interesting thing. The report goes on to say that the bodybuilding magazine industry is supported in large part by nutritional supplement advertising. A study for the American Council on Health and Science found that 64% of all health and fitness magazines advertise products of dubious efficacy and safety. The review of a sampling of recent issues of 4 popular bodybuilding magazines found that 56% of the full-page ads were for worthless and possibly even harmful nutritional supplements. Remember, caveat 1992. Some bodybuilders may actually believe that these supplements are helping them, but a study with weightlifters found that the placebo effect can drive athletes to train harder and faster. The gain in strength and endurance were real, but a sugar pill would have done the same thing. For example, super fat burners. These supplements were found at a local health food store. Remember, back in 1992, these were advertised at $17 for an 11-day supply. The company claims that they facilitate weight loss, aid in the metabolism of fats, and reduce blood cholesterol levels. The pills contain choline, inositol, and certain free-form amino acids, useless for burning fat and reducing cholesterol. But I am kind of alert to the wording that it says that the company claims that they facilitate weight loss. What, via the placebo effect? Aid in the metabolism of fats. Again, what, by a kind of placebo effect? That because you're committed to paying $17 for an 11-day supply, that whilst you're working out, you think, well, I'm paying for this, so I better work out harder and get my money's worth. And it's actually the working harder or exercising more that does it, or the commitment to actually spending an hour and not just 45 minutes in the gym. So is that what they mean by aid or facilitate? That it's not actually the substance in it, but because it creates a commitment in the user? So whilst it's not untrue, it's not entirely true either. See what I mean about wiggling the fine line? Another product that was looked at, sold by mail order, advertisements claim that it's unequaled for building muscle tissue and increasing lean body mass. The pills are little more than glorified multivitamin tablets and some amino acids. Egg whites can provide this protein at less than 1/10 of the cost. Again, the 1992 report also said that they looked at Weider food supplements, one of the largest suppliers of bodybuilding products at the time, I imagine. These fat burners contain 5 chemicals and vitamin B6 of no special bodybuilding value. Company officials refused to discuss the products with us over the phone. When asked what information was available on this product, particularly about health and safety concerns, the writers of the report said that they were told that no information was available except the product label. The report also goes on, according to numerous nutritionists we interviewed. Okay, so Not all, some, some, so I'm a bit critical about the report too. And others whose scientific writings we have reviewed. Well, scientific writings, that's a loose term, it's either writings based on scientific findings, no known chemical can burn fat or facilitate its metabolysis. The only real method of burning fat is exercise. Again, I'm kind of curious why they qualified method with real method. Yeah. Anyway, products that claim to burn fat in combination with an exercise program are intentionally deceptive because it is the exercise that rids the body of the fat. The numerous ingredients they contain are ineffectual in fat metabolysis, and some of them could possibly be harmful. The reports also conclude that the only realistic method of reducing fat and body weight was summarized by former US Surgeon General, who said, "Achieve and maintain a desirable body weight. To do so, choose a dietary pattern in which energy, caloric intake, is consistent with energy expenditure. To reduce energy intake, limit consumption of foods high in calories, fats and sugars, and minimize alcohol consumption. Increase energy expenditure through regular and sustained physical activity." There it is, folks. How can you make money selling that kind of advice? Eat less, walk more. Having said that, I also heard recently that you can't exercise your way out of a bad diet. I think that's true. I can only share my own experience. At my peak weight, I was 23.5 stone, and today, about 15.5. And first couple of years, I changed my diet and the weight started to come off slowly, but it was really only started to accelerate rapidly when I started doing fasting. Not just intermittent fasting, but 76-hour fasts. I think the longest I did was a 7-day fast. And then I was a bit worried at the start about, is it safe and all this kind of stuff. There's certain things I think you have to do, so I don't dive into it without getting a little bit educated about it. But it suddenly struck me, if we just eat too much bloody food in the West. Yeah, I'm sure it changes with age. I'm sure it changes with the levels of physical activity. And everyone's different and blah, 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 and genetics, no doubt, and metabolism and all that. But if you looked at the kind of metabolic pathways in the human body, if you looked at that diagram up on the internet, holy shit, I never realized it's so complicated. It's probably why it's hard to get one answer. But it certainly does seem to me that we just eat too much bloody food. Probably waste even more. And probably don't exercise enough. I think, when you're getting into supplements and vitamins, and unless you actually have a deficiency for whatever reason, it seems like these tactics only make a marginal difference. The big difference, like the US surgeon here says, cut down on calories. Don't eat as much. Legal disclaimer, blah, 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 go and see a doctor, etc., etc. The report goes on. Very little of the research cited in supplements advertising is truly scientific. Rarely does any of it appear in reputable scientific journals, and the performance improvement some athletes perceive is really just a placebo effect. Just expectation is enough to produce the placebo effect. It's easy to dupe someone in high school or college. The placebo effect is very high in athletes, and it often coincides with natural improvement. Another difficult problem is the plateau most athletes reach upon the peak of athletic conditioning. The placebo effect has proved effective in overcoming this plateau. Yeah, the hypnotic effect of placebo effect is fascinating stuff. I've always watched in awe of magicians and stage hypnotists. The old one where they get two people up on stage and they're going to magically make one of them heavier so that the other can't lift them. So they've got two people on stage and the magician looks at the person that he's going to make heavier so the other person can't lift them. And he'll whilst he's actually looking at this person, is actually pointing and gesturing to the other person who's just watching, apparently, this first person be hypnotized into being heavier. So the magician will say things like, I want you to imagine that your feet are like the bases of a tree. The roots go down into the floor and bind to the ground in an unbreakable bond. These comments are actually directed to the second person who's observing, so that it convinces them in their mind that this person really is rooted to the floor and that they can't lift them up. And that's the trick. He's not talking to the person who's supposedly getting heavier. Whilst he's looking at them, he's actually hypnotizing the observer. It's all good stuff. It's all sleight of hand, sleight of mouth. Robert Dills, another book to read. But there's more. By far the most common kind of advertisement is user testimonials, which take two forms. The first involves the well-known before and after snapshot. A widely circulated ad for Cybergenics from LNS Research Corporation showed 5 different subjects at 10-day intervals during a 60-day training period. Alongside the final photo of each series ran a caption featuring a quote from the subject attesting to the incredible results of the product. These ads apparently seem very convincing to many people, yet they are very easily faked. Yeah, I mean, sure, lighting adjustments, bit of a suntan, that's before we even get to Photoshop. And the other thing, of course, is somebody says it's incredible and they got good gains. How do we know that it was from the product and not because they worked hard in the gym, and even they might not have realized it? So whilst it may be true what they're saying and their experience is subjective, yeah, you see how that doesn't translate. And then this is where I get into all this subjective and relativistic truth. It was true for me. Yeah, the truth, a truth, an opinion. Where's the crossover? The second type of testimonial ad features a famous athlete or celebrity who is quoted attesting to the product's effectiveness. Some popular bodybuilders are in such demand for and appear in so many of these ads that if one were to take them all seriously, it would be impossible to determine which product was actually having the effect. The athletes certainly seem to have no problems determining what's what and quite eager to provide endorsements. In a study with weightlifters, researchers found that those who were convinced they were being given anabolic steroids, they were not, demonstrated much higher motivation than the control group. The placebo group thus experienced greater strength and gains because they trained harder. They, of course, attributed the gains to the steroids they thought they were getting. And another common deceptive practice, and I remember this because I used to read the ads, is the use of patent numbers to give false impression that the US Patent Office has approved of the product. Well, the Patent Office is actually not concerned at all with the effectiveness of a product. Rather, their only task is to distinguish one product from another. So a patent merely denotes a distinctive difference between one ineffective product's claims and another's. Patent numbers are often falsified anyway due to the lack of any verification procedures in advertising. Well, not nowadays. You can get access to patents quite easily. Use your favourite internet search engines. Won't be promoting any monopolies here. Of course, Wolfram Alpha. Some ads make reference to studies being conducted, and some manufacturers even provide unpublished research to substantiate claims, but none of these are objective, double-blind research studies. There is a reason why they are not accepted for publication in reputable peer-reviewed journals. Many advertisements relied on ambiguity of language and the inability of consumers to understand complex-sounding terms. I think in this day and age, the audience is a bit more sophisticated. With few exceptions, they made claims like fat metabolizer, energy optimizer, anabolic activator. Commonly, terms like sterile and anabol are used in close context with claims like 100% natural and derived from nature, therefore it must be good or it can't be harmful. This technique bolsters the impression that the products are safe, effective, and natural alternatives for anabolic steroids. But sterile is not an appropriate replacement for steroids, and anabol is a meaningless term. And then it gets to another level of sophistication. A few advertisers try to appeal to consumer skepticism by denouncing competitors, again the boogeyman, who made unsubstantiated claims, while making essentially the same ones themselves. One manufacturer even ran an ad listing the claims that they say the FDA has forbidden them to make, implying that the medical establishment is trying to suppress an effective product because Big Pharma. Eventually, the report goes into the nutritional supplements / magazine nexus. A slew of muscle and bodybuilding magazines have appeared in recent years, remember 1992, and the circulations of others have mushroomed. Several magazines are owned by supplement or athletic equipment manufacturers. The two main bodybuilding organisations which sponsor the sport's major competitions are the International Bodybuilder Federation and the World Bodybuilding Federation. Both are owned by bodybuilder magazine publishers and or supplement manufacturers. Bodybuilders appearing in the magazines and in competitions sometimes are shown in magazine advertisements endorsing nutritional supplement products. Here we are, this is it. Own it all. Control it all. This is how to build an empire 101. So at the time, the biggest supplement maker was Weider Health and Fitness. Weider controls a huge marketing enterprise with annual revenues in 1992 of $350 million. This combine runs not only the 4 magazines, but companies that produce diet supplements, mainstream vitamin products, exercise equipment and sports entertainment. It also sponsors bodybuilding competitions and related spin-offs. So the report also mentions some of the ways that advertising space is rented or tit for tat, or ads placed in return for other free space to advertise other products to people who are not owned by Weider but other third-party companies. And in fact, it seems that Weider was actually sued in 1989 for violating antitrust laws because the Weider company would not accept almost $1 million worth of advertisements promoting a competitor's products. Yeah, so remember earlier we were saying how the latest regimens were published, or the how many meals a day and the optimal nutrition. Well, this report cites an example of an editorial written that describes a particular powerlifter's routine. Breakfast: 3 power-based tablets, Similac and ginseng capsules, 1 biochromium capsule, 2 chelated mineral capsules, oh for fuck's sake, 4 amino-based 1030 capsules, pre-workout, 5 iosine capsules, 3 antioxidant capsules, post-workout, 1 post-workout packet, 5 amino-based capsules, lunch, power-based tablets, 2 Similac and ginseng, 2 chelated mineral capsules, 5 dynamic life essence free-form amino acid capsules, dinner, 2 power-based tablets, 1 biochromium capsule, early evening snack, 1 power shake with low-fat milk, 2 Similac and ginseng capsules, late evening meal, 1 power-based tablet, 2 antioxidant capsules, 2 chelated mineral capsules, 4 amino-based 1030 capsules, 5 dynamic life essence free-form amino acid capsules. Holy shit, I've got to be dedicated to the course. Sign me up, here's my money. Fuck, let's do it. Alright, let's add that up. 56 pills and 1 shake. At the time, $12 a day. So what else? Weider nutritional supplements. In 1989, Weider controlled 35% of the sports nutritional supplement market. What else? The International Federation of Bodybuilding. The Weider empire includes not only a huge share of the supplement business, but also the increasingly lucrative International Federation of Bodybuilding, headed by Ben Weider, Joe's brother. Through sponsorships of the athletes associated with the IFBB, the company has a built-in source of endorsements for their products. These endorsements take the usual forms of testimonials and also include articles, as the one just gone over about supplements and breakfast and power lunch and this and that. I mean, it's brilliant. I can't knock it. I mean, also, you know, at the end of these magazines got me down the gym, got me running, got me exercising. I don't know, you know. I didn't actually buy any of the frigging products. I didn't have that kind of money at the time, but here we are. You know, it's difficult, isn't it? On the balance of things, you know, has it got more people down the gym? Has it got people actually conscious of what health actually is? Has it got people conscious that there is actually choice in the foods that you put in your mouth? Weider franchising is helping entrepreneurs set up their own Weider gyms. The solicitations guarantee owners access to Joe Weider's entire line of performance supplements for pro shops. The equipment division has annual sales of over 185 million. Brilliant. I mean, it's got to be a good thing, hasn't it? Getting more gyms built and getting people down the gym. So, you know, it's kind of, I'm not knocking it. It's brilliant. I mean, this is it. It's big effort. Just, you know, based on how the Weider magazine started, which was basically a catalogue for supplements. Yeah, do the ends justify the means? I don't know. I mean, this is, you know, still a report in 1992. I haven't kept tabs on it. I don't know. Maybe things have got cleaned up and a lot healthier. I suspect they have, and that's a good thing, surely. But, and I'm not smearing Weider here at all, but the internet now is rife with shit. You know, turpentine therapy. What's that MMS stuff that they call it? Miracle mineral. Can't call it supplement. They have to call it solution, don't they? They are apparently a cure for AIDS, a cure for autism, a cure for, and it's basically sticking bleach in your arse. And I think, holy shit. And what comes out isn't, they say it's parasite, but it's not. It's actually part of your intestinal tract that's been basically dissolved. It's, yeah, so not picking on Joe Weider particularly. It seems they were all at it. And this is the other thing, how do you out-competition people who tell lies in your advertising if people are getting away with, race to the bottom and they're lying, outright lying, and they're making the gains and taking market share from you, and you want to be honest. It puts you up against real moral and ethical dilemmas. How close to the line do you want to go? How much can your lawyers get away with for you? Is it actually worth the cost of going to court and paying fines that are actually offset by profits made? And again, not singling out any one. It always seems to be a problem with psychopaths who prepared to cross those lines. Anyway, yeah, what about let the buyer beware? A lot of ads play upon the hopes and dreams of athletes and dieters who wish to achieve fat-free bodies with large, well-defined muscles, swolgers. It's like the search for the mythical fountain of youth. Bodybuilders hope for a secret formula or a simple pill that can help burn off pounds of persistent fat with no effort. And it fascinated me. Here we are, probably eating too much all the time. And what do we do to offset the fact that we eat too much? We supplement, i.e. eat more. Alright, it might be a pill, but if we're already eating too much, how can we have a deficiency in things? I'm sure it's possible. You just eat too much of the wrong thing. Or maybe eating too much of the wrong thing creates imbalances in the body that you then have to take a pill to compensate for. I don't fucking know. But complicated, isn't it? And this is why I think there is no one answer, because it's a complex system. And so this is the crux of the matter that the report makes, that, many reach a point in their training where they feel they can't grow anymore without something to help, an external agency. To give them a shot in the arm, as it were. So novice bodybuilders, especially teenagers, are looking for something to give them a quick boost, easy results. And these are the people that are most susceptible to deceptive ads that are specifically targeted by firms selling these products. And again, it's the most vulnerable. Again, my point is that it's information asymmetry. It's making profits off of ignorance. Buyer beware. Young kids aren't aware, and therefore, I don't know, are they taken for a ride? Is it a tax on their ignorance that now they've paid their money and realised that actually they just got taken and that's the life lesson? Can they learn it without having to pay? It's like gurus and cults. Oh shit, don't get me started. Fuck it, alright, you've got me started on that. Anyway, before we get on to cults, and this strategy updated for 2018-2019 sees the rise of the Instagram model. I've been in a few gyms in my time. The ones who are serious don't really give a fuck what they're wearing. They turn up in drab clothes or ripped t-shirts or just ordinary tracksuits or flexible clothes fit for purpose, and they get in there, do the time, do the grind and leave. No, the fitness model comes in with bright pink, bright white or bright white thigh length stockings over bright pink tracksuit with low cut crop tops. Usually with a friend carrying a camera, and they do a few dips or a few bench flies with a light weight, record it, upload it to Instagram and say, hey, you want a body like this? Then sign up for my weight gain, weight loss plan. Personalised, customised, one-on-one coaching. And I've seen a few of these videos in my time, and as pleasurable as they are to watch, you can't help but say, butt implants, breast implants. Yeah, you don't get those down the gym. Nor by following any particular diet. And sometimes I wonder how a 20-something, an early, young 20-something knows so much about nutrition and coaching. Sure, it's possible, but wow, there's a lot of them. And who are they appealing to? Oh, I don't know, maybe 16, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds? Same old shit, different technology. Oh, and by the way, did I mention that apart from being able to buy gym equipment these days, you can also buy purposely made fake gym equipment. Yeah, those barbells and dumbbells made of foam, painted black, 20 kilos embossed on that painted black styrofoam disc, so that you can stack your rack and do your squats and make it look like you're squatting 500 kilos when it's just 2 kilograms of polystyrene. Put that on your Instagram. Fucking hell. You know, it's the taglines, and I've kind of come to realise this as well, listening to too much daytime TV talk shows that use 2 or 3 word combinations to create an emotive and outrageous headline. Let's think of one off the cuff. Pre-teen mother sues 60-year-old boyfriend. Fucking hell, you got to find out about that. And I've seen it creeping into kind of online marketing parlance, you know. This is like a normal CRM system, but CRM on steroids. This is like search engine optimization, but search engine optimization on steroids, or weaponized sales copy. It's just over sensationalized and often compared to this mythical steroid use as though that's a good thing. So, you know, the geniuses in the marketing department come up with them all. Fat burner, fat fighter, fat metabolizer, melts fat away, lipotropic, promotes reduction of body fat, increases lean muscle mass, adds muscle without fat, converts fat into energy, facilitates muscle growth, rapid muscle growth, and so it goes on. Ergogenic aid, anabolic activator, anabolic drive. This is Eugene Schwartz 101. If you haven't read that book, Breakthrough to Advertising, oh man, you're missing out. This is how it's done. And after laugh, the previous video, where I spent an hour and 20 minutes talking about how to make optimized decisions in complex systems. Well, actually really simple but complex systems. Consider taking genetic optimizers or metabolic process optimizers. Ooh, yeah, let the pill do all the work and calculations for you, because they're that good. But it was also interesting to note as well that you were supposed to take these pills or supplements at a specific time, and if, you know, it gives them, again, the advertisers wiggle room that if you don't get the results from taking these pills, well, did you take it at exactly 15 minutes before your pre-workout warm-up and 7.5 minutes after your mass-loading pyramid triple split routine? Fucked if I know. But again, all that is bollocks. Doesn't work that way, apparently. Yep, and even some of the claims, some of the single amino acid supplements could actually do damage because they set a body into a unbalance, and so the body compensates by adjusting hormone levels, which actually deprive the body of necessary protein and may lead to muscle loss instead of gain. Yeah, no warnings, no labels. So yeah, I mean, there are government bodies, oversight committees that are supposed to clamp down on these false advertisings, and I think in recent years it's gotten a lot better. There's some big hefty fines handed out, and this is, you know, basically what regulation is all about, isn't it? It's kind of protecting the consumer, because I mean, I'm in two minds about this sort of kind of thing. You know, on the one side of things, you've got the complete wild west of things, you know, the unregulated marketplace where you're supposed to be a sophisticated investor or a sophisticated person, which means that you accept full liability for your own actions. On the other side of things, we've got the regulated environments, which means I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm relying on professional advice to help me make these decisions. Therefore, that advice has to come with an insurance policy against it, because if the person giving you advice doesn't give you better advice, they're liable. Therefore, the insurance provides an extra safety net. But to get that insurance, the advisor has to demonstrate competency against a particular benchmark, which is usually based around regulation. So it's all a tightly wound regulatory framework, and that's why, you know, someone who's regulated can't give you particular advice about what to do in unregulated environments. So it kind of all works out. Yeah, so that was it. Fascinating look into kind of the behind the scene things, and I'm sure, you know, it's still going on today, just a little bit more sophisticated. So kudos to Joe Weider and his brother Ben, I guess, you know, building that empire, a couple of decades, many decades, got a lot of people into health and fitness. Yes, all good. So not knocking on them. It's just, you know, obviously they were the most successful, so they're going to be the prominent ones to criticize for anything. But the focus of the report is, as far as I'm concerned, more to do with misleading advertisements in general. But there's always a grey area, isn't it? Where does a misleading advert cease to be misleading but driven by the fuel of the desires of the reader who wants to pretend that it's true? So in some respect, the advert plants the seed, the reader's imagination fills in the rest. Well, this is the dark art, isn't it? There's another good book written by Tom Bauer about Bernie Ecclestone called No Angel. Bernie said that sadly Joe Public is not well educated, is often taken to the cleaners and used as a bank to provide loans that are seldom repaid. Bernie says, I don't like others to think I'm sharp. Then they're more careful, and that's a disadvantage. I want to buy from someone who thinks they're smarter and sell to someone who is not that smart. Most of all, I'm happy if the other side is happy. Then it's a good deal for both sides, but so long as it suits me, I never care what others think. Later, when he attempted to sell the Formula One, the investment bankers would ask what kind of investor Bernie sought. Deaf, dumb and blind, he said. But quick as a flash, the banker replied, all 2 out of 3 do. This is it, it's the same model. There's some really good lessons in that book, actually. I'll have to go through all these lessons that I've collected. 1,001 business lessons. I've got a compendium of them all in a PDF. Really good stuff. And then there's a more recent example, and I don't want to use any names. It's charged, and I'm kind of loath to give kind of free advertisement to things I'm criticising, but, I'm sure the smart kids will know who I'm talking about. So it seems there was a business school, and it seems as though they were having tough times and they were about to close. So there's a person who's kind of in the public eye, doing the rounds, doing the circuits, teaching life lessons, and quite popular, earning a lot of money, certainly got a healthy Patreon account. I think you might guess who I'm talking about. Myself, quite critical of him, and maybe I'll do a video on that, but whatever. So this business school, of course, being entrepreneurial, saw the opportunity, approached this chap and said, if you promote our business program through, whatever means, his seminars, his videos, his personality, his message, we can give you a slice of student fees that come to the business school. Yeah, cool, all fine and dandy, nothing wrong with that. And there's some speculation. I mean, we don't know what kind of kickback or slice or arrangement he's made. That's his business, quite frankly. But it seems that the fees that this school charged went up by close to $20,000. Obviously, the celebrity that this chap's got is going to pull in a lot of believers. And this is the thing, isn't it? When you have such a powerful endorsement from someone who's so popular, of course you can afford to put your fees up. And because you've put your fees up, means you can also afford to pay for that endorsement. Well, this is how it works. But remember who's paying the extra fees. Well, again, it's people like you and I. It's the Finlux versus Sony all over again. The extra fees means, wow, it must be high quality because they're charging more than everyone else. Therefore, this person who's endorsing it must be right. Of course, it's just another testimonial, another endorsement deal. It's the same formula all over again. The takers are paying for their own peace of mind, just like Eccleston's example, where the public are largely ignorant of specialised matters and just used as bankroll for investments and loans that are seldom repaid. Anything wrong with it? No. Have they broken any laws? No. Is it ethical? Sure, yeah. Don't see a problem with that. Are you getting value for your money? Well, it's for you to decide. Same thing with buying the vitamin supplements. Are you actually getting the vitamins and supplements in those pills? Yeah, maybe. Are they actually doing you any good? Might be debatable. Do you believe they're doing you good? Yes. Do you work out harder as a consequence? Yes. Do you actually get results then? Well, maybe. Is there commentary and critique to be made of the person running these business schools? This particular business school that we're talking about? No names? Yes. Is there some shady shit going on in the background? Yes. So one thing I'm really getting at as well is the due diligence and the scientific method. And I started off poking fun at woo-woo crystals, joss sticks and all that kind of jazz. All well and good, placebo effect. If it makes people feel good, great. There is, it kind of starts across the line when they say, these things can cure cancer because desperate people won't go to the doctor. They'll try this instead and delay any treatment that they might have gotten that may have been beneficial. Again, it's appealing to the desperate, the vulnerable, providing an information overload, gives them confidence in this choice over any other, and sometimes, can have disastrous results, and that's when it becomes an issue. So, again, with the woo-woo, here's the questions. This is what I always ask, What does it predict or do? Under what circumstances and with what level of accuracy? Basic due diligence questions. You can apply the same thing to stock investments when a stockbroker wants to stay some stock. It's the same thing all over again. I mean, I've gone over this before. All right, and I get sidetracked and shoot here and shoot there. It's just not a linear story. It's just stuff all over. So, right, check this out. Don't do this. Do not do this. But if you got a list of 1 million people from wherever you bought it from, some whatever hacker group, so you split the list in two, and you send to one half of the list your stock prediction that, I don't know, lack of any other pick, AstraZeneca, AZN, always like that stock for some reason. AstraZeneca this week going to go up, and to the other half you send AstraZeneca going to go down this week. End of the week, you look what happened, and then the group for which your message was aligned, let's say the stock goes up, so you pick the first group again, you throw away the second group, you don't email them again. So to the first group, you now say, okay, last week we said AstraZeneca was going to go up, it went up. This week we're going to pick, a Rio Tinto mining stock, whatever. Going to go down this week. And at the end of the week you review it, and to whichever half, because again you split the 500,000 into two groups, so half of that 500,000 you make a prediction of up, the other half down, you can see where it's going. Whichever group got the aligned message that turned out to be true, you keep that group for your own way. So on the third week you now split the 250 into two groups of 125,000, and again you make a binary choice of some stock going up or down, and you repeat this, 7 or 8 times, do the math, whatever it works out to be. So at the end of 8 or 10 weeks, whatever, you've got a group of people, it might only be 200, whatever it is, that's, do the math. So 1,000,000, 500,000, 250, 125, 60, 32, 16, 8, 4, 2,000. Yeah, 2 to the 10. So you got 1,000 people at the end of this bifurcation, for which I've seen you make 10 consecutive stock market predictions. Wow. Then you ask those 1,000 people, hey, we've done 10 weeks of stock market picks of 100% accuracy. Isn't it time you invested some stock with us? Don't do that. Slightly more sophisticated version goes like this. So you've got a bit more money, and you've paid Bloomberg or Reuters or Thomson, whoever, to have one of their fancy terminals in your office. So you got the Bloomberg newsfeed or Reuters or Thomson market feeds, and you set up a system where you monitor, let's say the top 500 stocks, or the FTSE 100, NASDAQ, whatever it is. And then you monitor all these companies and their profits quarterly, and you monitor what the stock report or the quarterly report said that their earnings targets would be for the next quarter, and then you monitor which ones actually achieved it. And then after monitoring for, say, 2 years, you pick out the ones that exceeded the quarterly profits consistently, and then the ones that exceeded market expectations the most. Then you write to your clients or your email list and say, hey, for the last 6 quarters consecutively, company XYZ has outperformed their profit targets due to strong management, competitive cost cutting, brilliant marketing, and excellent business practices. This is what's yielded their fantastic results. So of course that's true for all those fucking companies. It's the same thing, just a slightly more sophisticated version. And yeah, wow, God, great. So here you go. What does it predict? Under what conditions? To what level of accuracy? I can't imagine any stock picker answering those questions. Same with the woo-woo crystal shit. And that brings me back to this story about this business school. It's on Reddit. It's doing the rounds. I'm sure it worked out which one it is. But one of the applicants who was accepted paid their rather large and handsome application fee. Well, I don't know whether they fronted it, but they certainly made a commitment to pay the asking price. And so they did their due diligence. What is the level of involvement of this celebrity, let's say? What things am I going to learn in this course over and above other courses? Basically, going through that process of asking, what's it all about? The due diligence, why am I paying extra? What do I get for the money? As any good MBA course would no doubt say, due diligence is the key to good business. And I remember meeting a guy quite successful in business. I had a half an hour consultation with him. And I asked him, what is the one thing in business that, biggest regrets, that holds people back, that ends in disaster? And he said, due diligence, due diligence, due diligence. No one does it. And, so this is it. So this student or future applicant started asking questions of the school, and they basically turned around and said, email transcripts on the internet for all to see, you ask too many questions. We're going to go with people who don't ask questions. Now, is that consistent with this message of responsibility? Is it consistent with even the best practice of what would be taught in business schools, due diligence? No. I also have received quite cute answers from spiritualists that I've challenged upon their cancer curing claims when I say, how does it work, under what circumstances, with what level of accuracy? And I get cute answers like, you're just not spiritual enough to understand. So any time now that people aren't prepared or are unable to give direct answers to direct questions, well, I think it was one of my buddies in SAS who told me, where there's doubt, there is no doubt. So, same thing. Does this pill really work? We'll just refer you to what it says on the label. Are there any scientific proofs that this works? I'm just pointing to the label. What's on the label? Are these testimonials, for real? Well, other people have had great success and enjoyment using our product. Yeah, it doesn't really answer the question though, does it? So for that first scam that I explained, where we bifurcate a list, the diligent investor would say, how did you pick AstraZeneca in the first place? Trade secrets, can't divulge that. What's your trading strategy? Oh, that's proprietary, we can't disclose that. Yeah, it's the big secret sauce, innit? And in a weird kind of way, those responses are actually alluring, because at last we've found somebody with an answer. And it has to be the answer because it's so valuable they won't share it. Kind of a weird logic that kind of makes it seem like we want to believe that we've actually found somebody with an answer, a shortcut. Just don't tell anybody. Bernie Madoff. So, we've got pills on one side, supplements on one side, and an MBA on the other. Is it an MBA worth having? Fucked if I know. As far as I can tell, course content of any MBAs it can be valuable stuff. It's good stuff for sure. Is one school better than the other? Of course. What do you mean better? Different material, taught better, taught more efficiently, or does it have a better network to help you afterwards? Well, sure. Is that what it's all about? I don't know, maybe. Is it worth bribing the schools $500,000 to get your son and daughter in there? I don't know. Some people choose to do that too. Choices. But in summary, this is where it all points to. For me, it's people looking for answers. They're looking for that one pill, that one training regime, that one spiritual fast track that, because it's spiritual, it can't be explained by sciences, therefore it's shielded from criticism, and therefore it's just unfalsifiable, which means that questions like, what does it predict, under what circumstances, with what level of accuracy, just don't apply. It's like saying, what are the conditions for a miracle? Well, a miracle by definition is supernatural. That is, it defies natural explanation. It happens outside of reality. Same with this kind of cult status. We covered this in a couple of episodes back. I think it was number 12, when we were talking about Charles Manson. Mike made the interesting comment that he was the ultimate influencer. He didn't actually kill anybody, but certainly incited it. And we discussed the in vogue cult culture of the late 60s, early 70s. It was in vogue to have a sage or a guru that you were following. I don't know whether it was some kind of virtue signaling, but it seems the same thing is happening. It's the same old shit. People put themselves out there, write a book, proclaim to have not just perhaps one answer, but maybe 12 answers. And again, I suppose it depends where you are in life. Some of those answers are going to certainly appeal. Some of them are going to seem sensible. Sure, maybe even for your particular context or my particular context, it happens to be suitable at the time. I have to ask ourselves an honest question though, are we in that vulnerable position? Are we disenfranchised? Are we looking for answers? And I sometimes reach the conclusion that denial is so widespread, and even to the extent that I know I'm in denial about so many things. Probably don't even know how deep my own denial goes. I understand the appeal. It's comforting. It's, another one of my guilty pleasures is Kitchen Nightmares, Gordon Ramsay. Whoever's chopped up the footage from decades ago, I think it's 10 years now, has it been, since Kitchen Nightmares, Hell's Kitchen and all that. Whoever's sliced and diced that for a YouTube channel has done a brilliant job, because they've repurposed an old asset, and some of those videos are getting millions of views. But what cracks me up about those show, and again, it's brilliant in its simplicity, and if you watch the episodes back to back fast, you'll see the patterns yourself. So I've said it before, much like a hypnotist will invite the client in, sit down, put your feet flat on the floor, knees together, palm of your hands on your lap. It makes no difference to the actual experience of being hypnotized, but it's a compliance test. It's a calibration. Will this person follow instructions easily, or do I have to do a bit of work? So watch an episode of Kitchen Nightmares. Ramsay goes in, tests the food, calibrates, tells them it's shit every time. If it's really good food, he'll say he's honest in that regard, but he's testing, calibrating. What's the food like? Are the people receptive to criticism? All right, I know it's wrapped up in a bit of TV drama, but I suspect he's testing for what kind of responders he's got. Are they fighters, flighters, freezers, or appeasers? And after the initial confrontation, what does he say? Oh, well, I'm going out to get some fresh air, or, we'll reconvene tomorrow. And I think he forms his strategy from that point, knowing what he's dealing with, and the level of denial, and having tested the waters for calibration. I suspect that's at what point he forms his tactics. And then he'll go and confront where the problem is, whether it's the owner or the head chef. He'll confront the problem, and he'll say, literally, he will use these words: "You're in denial." And almost without fail, and it cracks me up. And we can only see it now because we can watch these episodes back to back, whereas when it was actually in syndication, you had to wait a week between episodes. The owner or the head chef will say, "No, I'm not in denial." And it just cracks me up every time. Yeah, in fact, denial is so important. I actually made a point of mentioning it in that kind of notes book that I put together, 1001 Business Lessons, Denial. And a little section I wrote on cults actually in there is, in summary, it's perhaps worth looking at the cult as an example of when extremes of faulty thinking, cognitive biases, and denial are left unchecked. And the top 3 points that I put in there, and this is before I knew about the bite model of cults: how to build a cult, punish questioning and doubt, punish dissent, polarize the mentality, one of in or out. The leader is venerated and perceived as infallible. So here we are, this kid, is written to this school, got questions, they kicked him out. Punished dissent, they kicked him out. He's either with us or he's against us. You're either in this or you're not. You either believe in these values or you don't. The leader is venerated and perceived to be infallible. That's why people are paying $20,000 over the odds to get into this school. So here we are. So yeah, I kind of get it. It's a complicated world. Things are changing so fast, and every answer seems to bring up a dozen more questions, and you start chasing rabbit holes, and people say that they know, and then you start asking them questions, and they string you along and take your money, sell you another pill, or give you another technique, or talk about breathing this, or woo-woo crystals that. Yeah, sure, it can bring momentary relief, and sometimes that is valuable, I've found. People in dire straits, you just say, okay, just get through today, tomorrow will be okay, get through today, tomorrow will be okay, and you keep going for a couple of weeks, and then circumstances change, something happens. Sometimes you just gotta keep people going day by day. But I don't know whether that's a sad indictment or commentary on the quality of life that's available. Cool, this one's starting to turn to doom and gloom, innit? I started off looking at the techniques of how to build an empire, control all the marketing, control all the advertising, and build something of value as well. Yeah, the gyms, the fitness, yeah, great, to do good things. But the question of the institutional imperative and trying to, you can't outsmart a dumb player. Somebody who wants to give away all their stuff and go into bankruptcy by running the business into the ground, but you don't want to, you want to charge money for your value, but someone else is happy to give it away for free and go bankrupt, only to be replaced by the next smart arse who thinks that they can give it away and end up going bankrupt, only to be replaced by the next stupid. It means that there's a constant churn of stupid. that you're competing against. It's difficult, sure. Likewise, though, there's a sucker born every minute, ready to pay money to the latest guru who claims to have all the answers. But it seems to me a secret of the guru is that they don't actually know either, and they're trying to find out. But you're paying them whilst they're trying to find out. You're paying for their learning experience. And I suppose in a certain kind of way, if that money that we all pay to the gurus gives them a comfortable lifetime, like they seem less motivated and seem less incentivized to actually go out and find those answers, because all of a sudden they got their own ashram making millions of dollars a year. What answers exactly do they need anymore? So perversely then, I was a bit self-indulgent, because back in the late 80s, as I say, I was into these muscle mags. I always wanted the bulging biceps, and I always wondered about these claims about, this pill, that pill, this cycle, that anabolic, this, that dianabol, that. So I suppose it's good to get closure and actually get an answer for once and all that shit. But taking its time, and I felt compelled to share because I thought just because I've caught something nasty, no reason to keep it to myself. That's what the internet is for. Alright, have a good one. Addendum. So it shouldn't come as any surprise. Just today there was a press release on one of the popular online tabloids stating that a record number of 14,200 and some odd internet adverts were reported to the advertising regulator in 2018, an increase of 38% from the previous year. I can't say I'm surprised. It's anyone can now do adverts and get huge reach with modest credit card investment, a Facebook pixel, Google Ads account, whatever. And also, by coincidence, earlier on this evening, Thunderfoot dropped another debunking video, this time on a desktop vacuum clothes dryer. The proposition is that because this thing runs at a low vacuum, it uses less energy to dry out clothes, which is actually wrong, it's incorrect. It uses more energy. And Thunderfoot goes through the science of why that's so. But it's one of those things that sound good, sound reasonable, because as we all know, the boiling point of water on Mount Everest is only 70 degrees C. But it's not quite to do with vacuums. But during his analysis, he also uncovered all kinds of mischief that are going on in the crowdfunding space. So this dryer raised $500,000 for something that's fundamentally worse than the average dryer in terms of efficiency. But their big selling point is that it's better for the environment, it's green, but it's not, it's worse. And so again, is it false advertising, or is it that the guys just don't know what they're doing? Is it ignorance? But beyond that as well is when you look at the Kickstarter pages and they claim that they've won this award and that award, and when Thunderfoot goes through the companies that award these awards, they are little more than PR companies themselves. And I didn't realise, but here we are. We now have intermediaries that sit on top of the crowdfunding platforms that will get your project greater reach, greater awareness, so that you can get your crowdfunder funded quicker. Of course, I suspect you have to give up a slice of your crowdfunding bank to the third-party marketing company that sits on top of the crowdfunding platform. Of course, because now so many people have crowdfunders trying to go after so many dollars after people who are prepared and able to donate or contribute to crowdfunding, however it's carefully worded, because it can't strictly be an investment. In some cases it has to be a donation, or let's call them backers to be legally compliant. It's the same old story. Just like the magazine we looked at is the PR engine. These third-party promoters now take money out of the enterprise to get the funding to do the project. So in a minute, if you're going to do a crowdfunder, you're going to have to give up some of that crowdfunded money to the PR people so that you can actually get in front of people who have got money to donate. Otherwise, you just become lost in the noise, obscured by people who are using PR engines to get the promotion. And of course, there's nothing more intoxicating than going to a casino with somebody else's money, because if you are relying on donations and you accept that a slice of that donation is going to go to a PR company, and if people are happy to donate money on that basis, what do you care? As long as you get funded, right? And conversely, the third-party intermediary marketing company gets a slice of the action from the funds that they raise for you, so it's not entirely in their interest to validate or fact-check or do due diligence on the claims of the original crowdfunder. And now I can see what the problem is. And to me, on the surface of it, it looks just like the vitamins and supplement issue. That is to say that supplements don't fall under the category of drugs. Therefore, the claims don't need to be substantiated at such a high bar or high level. Same with these crowdfunding platforms. The demarcation of when it becomes a regulated product or a de facto investment and a donation means that there's certain things that you can say to someone who wants to give you a donation that are prohibited from saying when it's actually an investment. And here we are. So there you go. I think that wraps it up.